Fhs Season Tickets.
Welcome back to another episode of Fhs Season Tickets. I'm Michael.
And I'm Christian.
And we're joined by an awesome guest, Felix Wright, former Browns player. Would you like to say hello?
Hello, and appreciate the invite for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And we kind of divided up the questions, so I'm going to be doing the first couple, talking about your college career and pre-NFL, and Christian has the NFL.
Then we have the Browns and all that.
Outstanding. I'm ready.
And then we have some questions just about your opinion and what you do now. So
okay.
I'm going to start off. You went to Drake, which is in the Missouri Valley Conference. Did
Yes.
you ever expect to be in the NFL when you were there?
Well, I'd hoped to. You know, growing up in a small town in Carthage, Missouri, in southwest Missouri, of about 10,000 people, we had pretty good conference and we played good ball. But you never know who's watching at any given time.
Yeah.
So I went out and played the best that I could do. I worked out when I was supposed to work out, stayed in good shape, and just tried to play the best ball I could play, as well as getting my schooling done. And when I graduated out of there, I got an opportunity to go play football and baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So football came around first in the year, and my mom and dad kind of talked me into taking the first opportunity, and that's kind of how I got to Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa. And I was there for 4 years. Started every year I was there. It worked out awesome. And my goal from a young age was to be a professional ball player. It really didn't matter if it was baseball or football. I just wanted to be a professional ball player. And so I worked towards that. So I think I put in all the work to be there, but you need to have some luck along the way to get an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, when I graduated from Drake, I wasn't really given an opportunity to play at the next level. So I had to revert back to my education.
Yeah, that was actually my next question I was going to ask you about. So you were a high school teacher for 1 year.
For 1
year.
year.
Can you talk how that shaped your life and your future decisions?
Well, I did have a backup plan. I didn't want to execute that plan.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was given the opportunity to play football, I reverted back to my education and applied for a couple jobs back in my hometown in Carthage, Missouri, and Joplin, Missouri, which is right next to Carthage, and received the job where I taught physical education and history and driver's education, and coached football, basketball, and track, and which was a good experience for me. It was a great experience actually because it's what my uncle was a coach as well, and I kind of idolized him and wanted to be like him if wasn't able to go to the professional ranks. So it was a great experience, and with teaching, getting out of university, we were close in age to the students. Only 4 years difference in age. So it was good, so I can communicate and relate to the student athlete, and every time that I would ask a student athlete to do a certain thing, as far as workout or do a certain thing, I would actually do it with them because I was still young at the time where I could execute that process. So when the athletes worked out, I worked out, so I stayed in pretty good shape, and so it all worked out. And out one day working out in practice. Was kind of, showing some defensive backs some things that they needed to do, I think that would help them in game situations. And I remember after practice, some of the coaches came up to me and said, "Man, Felix, you shouldn't be here. You should be somewhere playing somewhere." And I'm like, "Well, I understand that, but and so we're talking high school, So, but what it did is it made me think a little bit. And, when I was at Drake University, I received one letter from one agent. And his name was Elliot Lehman from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I never called him, and he never called me. Thus, I went to, to coaching and teaching. But I went home that evening and asked my mom to find my schoolwork that I had from university. And and because I wanted to find that letter from that agent. So she found it, and I called him that evening and said, "Hey, Elliot, it's been a long time. I was just looking at your letter, and you never called me." He said, "Well, you never called me." And I'm like, "Well, true." I said, "Well, here's the reason why I'm calling. If you can get me an opportunity to go try out for a team, that would be an awesome opportunity. But if you don't, because I've been out of football for a year, I understand. But if you can, cool." So he said, "Well, give me a couple of days." And after a couple of days, he called me back and he says, "I got some good news and I got some bad news." And I said, "Oh, wow." And I said, "Well, what's the good news?" And he says, "Well, I got you 2 tryouts." And I said, "Well, what could possibly be the bad news?" He said, "Well, the bad news is that they're both on the same day." So I had to choose whether to go to Houston or whether to go to Detroit. And I chose to go to Houston because it was closer, and I had to pay for the trip.
Mm-hmm.
So, on the teacher's salary,
Yeah.
I had to go to where it was the least expensive. So I had about a month to get ready for it. Went down to Houston and worked out, and they had about 600 people there trying out. And at the end of the day, they called up 3 names, and I was the second name picked to sign on with the Houston Oilers. And that's kind of how I got my start with in the NFL.
And this was before you played in Canada?
Yes.
And then what happened with the Oilers?
Well, I had to resign from being a teacher that summer, and went into camp down in Houston and worked out for the whole summer to get ready for the upcoming season, and played, I think, the best I've ever played as an athlete, and was released after the last preseason game, which it was devastating that because now I'm back out in the market but don't have a job.
Yeah.
So I had to relook for another job and kind of see what was going on. But I really at that particular time kind of understood that sometimes it doesn't matter really how good you are. You just got to be at the right time at the right place.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to have some just things working in concert. But I went back home to Carthage, Missouri for a day. And was home for a day, and I got a call from the Canadian Football League, Hamilton Tiger Cats. And the Hamilton Tiger Cats called me and said, "Hey, you can come up and play for us right now. We saw you in training camp in Houston. We think you can come up and play for us for the remainder of the year, and then we'll make some decisions on the future." Mm-hmm. And so I went up. They flew me up the next day, which was on a Thursday. And then on Friday I went in to sign the contract and work out, and then Saturday we went out to Edmonton, Alberta, and then Sunday I was on the field, which was kind of the wildest thing because I go from playing with the Oilers to going home to signing with the team and back on the field on that Sunday within less than a week. And the first quarterback that I went up against was a guy named Warren Moon. I don't know if you guys probably know Warren Moon, but
Yeah.
Warren Moon played for the Houston Oilers, but he also played up in Canada as well for the Edmonton Eskimos, and he's a Hall of Fame quarterback,
Yeah.
in the NFL.
Had a cannon of an arm.
Yeah, cannon of arm, very good player. And it was exciting to be back out and playing, and that was kind of the start of my Canadian Football League career. Got an interception and took it back 80 yards the first game, and played the remaining 3 games that they had up there in Canada, and played well enough to where they said, "We want you back." And I signed a 2-year deal, and played the remaining 2 years up there. Became an all-star player, which is like a Pro Bowler down here, and played the next 2 years. Became an all-star. Went to the Grey Cup, which is a Super Bowl up there, and led the league in interceptions with 14, which afforded me an opportunity to come back to the league. And my last season, I had 6 opportunities to come back to the NFL, and Cleveland outbid all the other NFL teams, which how I showed up here as a Cleveland Brown back in 1985, a long time ago.
Yeah.
Now, Peplin, you have some questions about Cleveland Browns?
Yeah. You were with the Browns through through their glory days and through a bit of the downfall. And when they actually made it into the playoffs, what was the worst loss when you guys were playing to the Broncos?
Probably the worst loss was probably to me was probably the 2-minute drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably the toughest because I mean we lost to him 3 times. The 2-minute drive probably because it was at home and it happened in front of our own fans and we had the lead, going into those last 2 minutes, and we had never lost like that before. And it was, everything just kind of went their way. John Elway's a great quarterback. It worked out well for him. And then probably the second was probably the fumble because, the fumble, we were there. We were about to score to tie it up, but who knows if we would have, carried that on through. But I would say probably the 2-minute drive. They call it the drive. What do they call it? The fumble, the drive, the shot.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably the drive is probably the most devastating, and it's something that comes up every year in football season during the playoffs. They always talk about the drive, the fumble. But so hopefully one of these days we'll get the Brownies to the Super Bowl where we don't have to hear about that anymore.
Yeah.
We've got some questions about the current Browns later on. Christian, I know you have a couple more.
And you were on the team from 85 to 89, and you were there from 85 to 90.
To 90, yes.
Yeah. And from 85 to 90, you guys were playing at such a high level.
Yes.
What was it? What made you guys not play at such a high level during the 90 season?
Well, I think we went through a lot of changes, and because in '85 I came with Marty Schottenheimer, and he was the head coach, and Marty was a great communicator, a player's coach, and we had a lot of success there. And the '85 team, we brought about 5 or 6 guys in from other sources, like Minifield, Kevin Mack, Bernie Kosar, myself, Mike Johnson. We all came in from different entities. So I came in from the Canadian Football League, Minifield, Kevin Mack, the Ice Cube, McNeil. They all came from the United States Football League, the USFL, and we brought that together, and we gelled and we played well, and we carried that on through '89. But in after the 88 season, we had some turnover with coaches where the ownership kind of started meddling with the coaching staff, and which caused the exit of Marty Schottenheimer. Ended up leaving the Browns and going to the Kansas City Chiefs, and we got a new coach in 1989 for name's Bud Carson.
Yeah.
So Bud Carson came in. In '89, and we were doing pretty well. We had a great year. That was the game where we fumbled. I think it was in 1989 where we had to fumble, and then right after that fumble game, they started making some major changes. We let Ernest Banner go, Clay Matthews, Frank Minifield, myself, Webster Slaughter. We all had some contract issues, and management didn't take care of business, as they should, because we had 5 great years.
Yeah.
And so, we felt that we deserved, a certain amount of, recognition and cash.
Yeah.
To because we've brought a lot of excitement to Cleveland football, but we all had contract problems and we all had contract holdouts. And I think that affected our team as far as the continuity and the faith that we had in the organization. So that was damaged. And so when you don't have happy players and the chemistry, then that most likely is going to equal not good record. And I think that was the reason and the start of the downfall that we had in the 90s. And then with having that contract dispute with a couple of the guys, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And so really the next move is to move forward and move to another team and do that. And that's actually what I ended up doing in '91. I actually signed up with the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
Then you got Reggie Langhorne that ended up going to the Indianapolis Colts. You got Hanford Dixon that ended up going to San Francisco. So they started splitting up the team. So they just started breaking up that chemistry that we had.
Yeah.
And we've never have gotten it back.
And when you were on the Vikings, you said you wish you had never left Cleveland and you wish you stayed in Cleveland. Why did you say that?
Well, I loved Cleveland. I loved the Cleveland fans. Minnesota was a little different as far as the fan base. I mean, football is football wherever you're at.
Yeah.
And I loved it there with the football team, but the fans are much more, I think, passionate here in Cleveland. And I really enjoyed playing here in Cleveland obviously for us, ourselves, but also for the fans. And I wish I was never put into a situation where I had to leave Cleveland, because obviously as a ball player, you got limited years you play, and you got to try and max that out. So, and that's what happens when you see ball players leave one team and go to another team. It's usually because of money, and so. You only got so many years in the league, and you got to maximize that earnings power that you have. And it's a shame to say, but most of the time when players leave to go to another team, it's because of money. And it's kind of strange is that you'll go to a team that will pay you what you are worth, and then a team that you've played for 5 years and produced and showed them what you're worth that won't pay you. It's just kind of an oxymoron.
Yeah.
So.
And now I'm gonna ask you. So, could you explain really briefly, like what you do now and how you're doing after a post NFL career?
Well, I got two jobs actually. I got a part-time job with the NFL where I'm an NFL inspector, and I've been doing that for about 16 years now, to where I kind of protect the sponsorship of the NFL. So you always hear about the sponsors at the NFL, like Gatorade, Nike is the official apparel sponsor. Motorola is the official computer. The New Air is the official hat of the NFL. And what I do is I just protect those brands from being sabotaged on the field. So anytime an NFL player, a coach, or a referee steps on the playing field out of the locker room, they have to be wearing those particular products.
Yeah.
And if they come out with anything else, I got to have it removed, or we fine them. So I try not to fine them. But if they don't listen, we got to do what we got to do. But so I protect the sponsorship of the league. So that's a part-time job I've been doing for a while. The other job that I do is that I wanted to kind of stay in the league and to work with ball players, not so much just NFL guys, but NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, to kind of help them with finances, because as you'll read as you go through life, that you always hear stories about professional athletes having financial issues after leaving the league after a couple of years. And it's just like, you find like the same thing with lottery winners, is that, with ball players, we come up, we go to college and we graduate, so we go from, nothing to a whole bunch.
The light just flipped off. It just.
They're motion activated, so.
Oh, okay. So we got to do another cut? Is that how we do it?
No, you can just keep going.
You can just keep going.
Yeah. So, so we have that transition to where we go from university to the league, to where we, go from nothing to making a whole bunch of money. And there's one thing we're really good at, and that's spending it, So there needs to be some guidance there, and some plans to execute how to spend. And it's okay to live like a pro, but there's also, we got to be able to put some money away to be able to exercise, what we spend on a monthly basis. So, if we're a $5,000 a month family or a $10,000 a month family, we got to have enough money to support that family on a monthly basis. So what I do is, my company's called Sports Trust, working with sports professionals. And what we do is we just put the plan together to where we execute the plan to keep them positioned to be able to live like they're living. But, that's also a plan for everything in life. My thought is that, to be successful in school, you got to do your homework, right? To be successful at a job, you got to show up and you got to get your work in. To be successful in a relationship or a marriage, you have to, show love, and you have to be faithful, and you have to take care of the people that you need to take care of. And so if you execute the plan, then everything's going to work out the way it should. You're not going to win every time, but you got a pretty good shot at it. So it's simple, but hard.
Yeah.
Because if it was simple, we wouldn't have so many people have financial issues at the end of the day. So, so I enjoy what I do. It keeps me involved. Right now, I got about 6 NFL players I work with. I got about 4, college ball players that I work with that are going to be becoming pros here in the next year.
Yeah.
And so those are the 2 things I do, and it's paying the bills.
And now we're going to go back and forth. Christian's going to ask you about some current college players and your
Yes.
thoughts about that. I'm going to keep asking you about financing. So, Christian,
Yeah.
what's your first question?
So, the Michigan safety, well, he's everywhere, Jabril Peppers.
Yes.
And when he goes to the NFL, what position do you think he's going to stay at?
I think he's going to be probably, he could be an outside linebacker or a strong safety.
Yeah.
Because I think he's a tweener. So I think he weighs around about 230. So, if he's got the speed, if he has 4.5 or better speed, he'll be a strong safety.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't have the speed, if he's a 4.6, 4.7 guy, then he'll be an outside backer. He'll have some issues at outside backer because, he doesn't have the size.
Yeah.
So let's hope that he has the speed to where he can play safety, to where he could play both ways to where he can be effective. But I think that's where he'll end up being. I think he'll end up being a safety in the NFL because you have some big safeties. 230 is about the
Yeah.
limit. But if that's the case, if he's super fast, maybe we can get him to lose some weight as well. But he's a good ball player. I've seen him play, and I wish him success.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then the LSU safety, Jamal, what's his last name?
Is it Brown?
It's
Yeah.
not. I don't
Yeah.
know. I completely forgot about it.
Yeah.
But
I like him.
Yeah.
LSU produces defensive backs in the league.
yeah.
They're very good at it. He's got good instincts. I think he hurt himself a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago, and but he's going to be okay. Come time for the combine to get ready. But I think he'll be one of the higher, safeties that will go into the league. In fact, I have one of the top strong safeties that's going to going in the league this year, named Ed Jackson from Alabama. So, yeah.
And the Florida State cornerback tandem,
Yes.
Quincy Wilson and Jalen Tabor. Do you think they benefit off each other's play, or do you think they're just legit, like their talent?
I think they're legit. When you find teams like that, like in the ACC and the SEC, those coaches get their players ready, NFL ready.
Yeah.
And so, certainly SEC, they play a lot of man-to-man. They play a lot of bump and run, pro-type defenses and pro-type offenses. So I think they're legit guys. They're speed guys.
Yeah.
And, speed is really important in the NFL. If you have the speed, we can work with you on your fundamentals and get you right. So I think those guys are legit guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
And last question before we go. Do you think that college athletes, especially ones that are projected to be going in the draft, should take like a financing class or like a financial management class in college?
I think that's real important. And, it's not required, but I think it should be instituted into the system. But if it's not your, if you studied education, if you've studied, event management or something like that, it's not something that you're gonna, study or do if you don't make it in the NFL. But it's kind of hard to say because if you sometimes you don't know you're going to be a first round guy or second round grade guy until until draft day.
Yeah.
So, but they should institute it for every senior because every senior is going to need what? I mean, they're going to need to make money and they're going to need to be able to handle it. So I think every senior, college player, actually for that matter, college senior, should take financing class just to kind of understand finances and see how it works. So not everybody grows up in a rich family.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Okay. Well, thanks so much
Yeah,
for
that's
coming
all.
on
All
the
right.
show.
All right. Well,
It's a pleasure having you.
hopefully I didn't talk too much.
No, you're
No,
fine.
it's fine.